Hello, Women of the Channel Leadership Network. I'm Jackie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another Woman of the Week. I'm so excited today to introduce you to Coletta Vigh, Head of Worldwide Channel Strategy for Checkpoint. Hey, Coletta, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay. So let's get started with a little bit of icebreakers. So how about sharing where you live and where you grew up, if that's different?
Sure. I currently live in Issaquah, Washington, and I grew up just north of here in Mukilteo. It's a little ferry boat town, very quaint little town.
Very cool. That's Washington's on my bucket list. I have not made it up that far yet, but definitely want to go visit. Okay, how about a little known fact about you?
So I think that this is kind of funny. Actually, when I was in primary school, we took these aptitude tests, and it tells you what you're most likely to be successful in and which areas you're probably not going to be successful in. And it told me that the worst thing I could go into was foreign language, and the best thing I could go into was fisheries. And funny enough, as I continued my education, I majored in Japanese language and literature. And the only class I got a 4.0 in at the University of Washington was fisheries. Isn't that funny?
That's so funny, but
Maybe
wow.
I missed my calling, I don't know, but it was just a funny little story.
That was a good little known fact about you. I'm like super impressed. And
sometimes I feel like all it takes is somebody to tell me no, and then I'm like, I'm going to do that.
I love it. I love it. All right. How about sharing with us your career path and how you reached this position today?
Sure. So I think a lot of my career actually started through some of the experiences I had before starting my career. So after I graduated from university, I ended up selling my car, and I bought a round trip ticket to Japan. And I told my parents, I'm moving to Japan. And they said, well, what if that doesn't work out? And I said, it's a round trip ticket. I'll be home and I'll come live with you, and I'll have no car and no job. But they obviously encouraged me to take risks and do something like that. So I did. I ended up working for 4 years in the hospitality industry in Japan, and started out in a beautiful island resort, and then moved to a Japanese inn. It was very traditional. So in hindsight, I look back on them and I think about what a blessing it was that I learned to speak Japanese properly, and I learned to host my guests. And I think that those are two skills that I could use in any industry that I could go into. So when I left Japan, just as I was leaving, I was talking with a kind of a mentor of mine, and he asked me, so you can speak Japanese, what can you do? And I thought, oh goodness, what can I do? I worked in hospitality. I don't want to do hospitality forever, but I really didn't know what I could do. And so I came back to America, and I looked for jobs where I could utilize my Japanese. Obviously, that wasn't a job, but I looked at different industries. And one of the industries that popped up one of the jobs that popped up at that time was in network security. And they asked for somebody who could speak Japanese, who knew network security, and who knew networking. And they couldn't find somebody who had all those three skills. So they ended up hiring me, who knew nothing about networking, nothing about network security. I had never used an English operating system. I had only had experience doing email on a Japanese, those Jelly Bean Macs, the green, pink ones back then. So
yep.
That's all of the computer experience I had. So I joined the network security company at that time. I was doing Japanese tech support. I was the only one in the company who could speak Japanese. So everything started coming my way, whether it's tech support or sales or marketing or legal, it all came my way. So then about a year and a half after I started there, they said, why don't you go over and be an expat? They gave me an opportunity to leave tech support, to be an expat, move to Japan and be a sales engineer and open up that market. So I went over there. It was kind of a sales engineer, salesy role. We had one exclusive relationship with a partner over there. They were bringing in about $500,000 a year. And at the time, we were a 35-person company, so it was significant revenue and our only entry into the Japanese market. So I went over there, and two of us broke that exclusivity and established a distribution reseller channel through managed services back then, monthly billing. We grew that relationship from $500,000 to $21 million in about 3 years.
Wow.
The most awesome personal and professional experience I've ever had in my life. And that experience has set up everything. The foundation of having the experience of working in hospitality and learning Japanese properly, and then being able to apply that to network security and use that in business. I moved from that sales engineer role to territory sales management. I was managing the Japan Korea business. And then I moved back to America, quit that company. And then it was kind of an opportunity for me to experience other industries. I went to BI tools. I worked at Microsoft in gaming. I was acquiring Japanese game content for Xbox and Windows Phone and PC. And then I realized I really did enjoy working in the security industry. I enjoy working for a product that is needed in the market, and building partnerships with folks and helping them build their businesses as together building our businesses. So I got back into security, and from there I worked in managing global channel programs, and then that became kind of a machine for the company and very operationalized. Then I ended up moving over and starting a partner recruitment side of things. So it was a little bit back into the sales side, back into really listening to partners and understanding what their needs are, and then matching up our solutions so that we could continue to build business together. So those, having the different roles around security, as far as the field experience, the technical experience, the program side, and recruitment. Now this role that I'm in ties all that together and really enables me to look at things in a more holistic manner and patch, the different roles up together and make things work for the company.
Wow. I don't even know how to follow up on that. It just proves that
it's been so wonderful.
One risk.
Enjoyed
like that first step.
I sold my car and I didn't think about it. I didn't overthink anything. And I think that's the beauty. You just say yes, to things as opportunities appear. And I was open to new stuff, and I really didn't think about it too much. I think had I overthought it, I might have scared myself out of even taking that first step. So
yeah, amazing. I love that you shared that. So normally I like to ask, what are some experiences or transformational moments in your life? Are there any more?
Yeah, I think selling my car was one. Taking that job with no experience.
Yeah.
And then taking that expat role. That expat role, I didn't think I was prepared for it. I was in my late 20s. I was offered a role to move to Japan, which is a very male-dominated IT environment. There were times when I was giving industry speeches on security, and there would be hundreds of people in the audience and 3 women in that whole group. And especially in that kind of environment, I knew those 3 women in that audience could probably knock the socks off of most people in that room, because they had to be strong, they had to be resilient, and they had to know their stuff. If they didn't know their stuff, they would have been weeded out far before then. So it was just, such an awesome profession.
That actually brings us at a great pivot point of what biases and stereotypes that you've come across, and I'm sure heightened a lot working in Japan. And how did you handle those?
Yeah, so actually when I started in hospitality, the first day I walked in, I showed up to the job, and my manager said, "I don't like foreigners. You just kind of stay out of my way." And I thought, oh goodness, why did you hire me? But in general, I find that a little bit of a challenge. And I just kind of nose down, do my job, and then prove myself and step in a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then, I shine. And this guy who told me he didn't like foreigners when I first started there, over the course of a couple of years, he actually became a really good friend of mine.
And I would say, I love when you get to, that's okay. I hear what you're saying. I will prove you wrong. Just give me time. Exactly.
So that's kind of the way I approach it. I kind of ignore stereotypes. So I think being, a female in Japan working in IT, a lot of stereotypes against foreigners working in Japan. Nose down, prove myself, do my job. Yeah. I play the harmonica. How many female harmonica players do you know?
One now.
There aren't very many. And when you think of harmonica players, they're male. And there aren't very many. So, but I just nose down, do my stuff, and I'm having fun. It's just a journey, and I'm having fun. That's what matters most, right? You're having fun, you're learning, you're growing, you're doing great things. I love it. Who or what do you look for inspiration? I find inspiration everywhere. I find inspiration in my teams. There's nothing more beautiful than having individuals come into a team with a seed of an idea, each person, and then they build, create that safe environment where people can feed off of each other and then come out with some idea that's even grander than any single person put in there. I gain inspiration from people who I mentor. I gain inspiration from my mentors. For example, that gentleman who told me Japanese is not a job. What can you do? It makes me think, and it challenges me, and it pushes me forward. The partners who I work with, when I look at the passion that they have for their businesses and people applying really creative ideas to building business processes, it's inspiring to me. And then obviously, as you may have seen, people who tell me no are inspiring to me, because I'm just like, no, I can. Yeah. I see that. And I love that quality in you. Yeah. Amazing. I know that your story is definitely going to resonate with people. And I definitely would say I would find inspiration out of your story. So thank you so much for taking the time to share your authentic self with us today. It's been a delight. Thank you for having me. All right, women of the channel, thank you for tuning in. Please do give Coletta some shout outs for sharing her journey with us today, and wishing you a happy Wednesday. So we'll see you next time.